I came out here to share a story. I'm not here to tell a story of hardship, though hardship has been a huge part of our ancestors' journey. I'm here to tell a story of bravery. I'm not here to paint a picture steeped only in the pain, the suffering, and the sorrow that traced the paths, the difficult paths walked by men and women of color. Instead, I come before you to highlight their resilience, their dignity, the power of their voices, voices that have always refused to be silenced. This is the true power of storytelling. This is the purpose of storytelling, reclaiming our narratives, not to dwell in pain, but to rise through it, to celebrate our strength and pass on the wisdom that has shaped who we are. Lebon, lepon, amon nafi, dana am. These words start all stories in Wolof, a language that has been spoken by over 15 million people in Senegal, in Mauritania, in the Gambia, and right here in New York on 116th Street in Harlem. Once upon a time, under the bright sun of a small country in West Africa, where the baobabs stood tall, where the soil was generous, where the river and the sea fed the people all they needed. This is the story of my grandfather. My grandfather and my grandfathers. The man you see is my grandfather, the person who birthed my father, who's my father's father. Senegal was colonized by France. When France called for help because France was in trouble, my grandfathers answered the call. They believed in freedom. They were all told that France was all about liberté, égalité, fraternité. That made them believe that by defending France, by fighting for French freedom, they would fight for the freedom of all Africans who were under French colony. So they went to war, they fought. They won. France was liberated. Some of them were kept prisoners. Later in our lives, for someone who was born in Senegal, I always hear people talk about le débarquement de Normandie. Here we know it as the D-Day. May 8, every year, the whole world celebrates, the Western world celebrates the German surrender, the liberation. But no one has celebrated where my grandfather fought, le débarquement de Provence. These are the places where the African troops were sent. They called them the tirailleurs. And tirailleurs is a French word that is made up of two words. Tire means shoot, ailleurs, elsewhere. which means that these people had no trainings at all. They just gave them the guns and put them up front. And they fought the Germans. They fought in the cold. They fought in the mud. They were bombed. Many of them lost their lives. Many of them were kept prisoners. But since Hitler did not want any black people on the German soil, the prisoners were kept in France. When the war was over, they were freed. Paris was liberated. All the prisoners were now free. De Gaulle decided to send them back home to their countries. And then they were sent to Senegal. When they got to Senegal, when they got off the boat in Senegal, they said, but listen, this was not the promise. The promise was that we are French citizens. We are French soldiers. We need to be paid our dues. What did they do? December 1st, 1944? They put them against a wall and they shoot them all. They shot them all. My grandfather was still in Paris. He was not a prisoner. He fought the war. Liberation Day, the American general, General Beadle, told de Gaulle, in America, black people don't show on these celebrations. We don't want your black soldiers marching down the Champs-Élysées. And so they did something interesting that we call in French le blanchiment des troupes. They called all the black troops and they asked them to take off their uniforms. And so they did, and they took the uniforms and they gave it to French people who did not fight, who had no training, who were just part of the resistance. So this is the story that led me to say, I went through school, high school, I went to college, I finished a doctoral degree, and I never heard the story of my grandfathers. So that drove me to go back home where I'm from and create a school. And the school is called Amitié Storytelling Academy. This is a school that is focused only on storytelling. So what do? We teach, we bring all the students in the community and we teach them about their stories. And we teach them to tell their stories, the stories of their grandfathers, because we know, and they know, that the story of their grandfathers may never grace the pages of the history books. But I believe that by teaching them these stories, they will keep teaching it to their children, and their children will teach it to their children. As we went, an opportunity presented itself. I was in contact with a program in Colombia. Afro-Colombians looking to connect with Africans, looking to connect with their roots. And so we jumped on it. And the idea was to create stories that we can share. The Afro-Colombian stories and the African stories put together in one animation film. So we created this atelier, and the students learned how to create stories. They did many meetings, Zoom calls, worked together, got help to do this. And just last month, we premiered our movie, Tomako to Dakar, and it's called Pasiteranga. So this, to me, is the true power of storytelling. We don't need to be published in the books. We need to pass on the knowledge, our stories, our culture to our children in the hope that they will keep transmitting it to their children. I'm a teacher. I'm a storyteller. My name is Oumar Sarr, and I thank you for joining us today. My question to you is, what is the story that you are going to be leaving to your children? Thank you.